Hopefully you can see me okay. I wanted to do a Q&A. I usually do a Friday Q&A. And let me just fix this real quick. So I usually do a Friday question and answer. So, end times questions, um, anything like that. Let me grab my phone. So, in any end times questions you may have, rapture questions, you know, let me know in the comments. Get down, buddy. Go to your room. I'll be right back. Okay, so while I'm waiting for any questions to come up, you know, um, I want to go over some common questions that people may have in regards to the rapture. And one of the first questions might be, when is the rapture? And so we always sometimes can ask that question because um, no one can figure out that day, you know? And I think sometimes we think that we can, but we cannot. But we do, excuse me, see signs of the times. We do see God in his scriptures telling us that Jesus is coming soon. It's already written down. And so, because it's already written down, you know, um, one of the things that we can do is prepare accordingly because we know he is coming soon. And so, I'm going to pop in the comments real quick and just write to you guys. Okay, so I'm in the comments on my phone. So hopefully this is pretty good. But on Friday nights is when I usually do a Q&A. But since I was not really able to live stream because we were out of town, um, you know, we have to be able to stay connected in some way. And so that's why I wanted to do this live stream for today. Now, another question that I had sometimes asked is, when is the rapture in relation to the tribulation? And so I believe, in relation to the tribulation, the rapture is pre-tribulational. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of scriptures that tell us that, we are getting close to the last days of, this time period before Jesus rules and reigns. And so we have that hope within us that we are going to make it out of here, guys. And every year we can have even more hope that God is going to see us through to the very end. Now, I don't know about you, but I've certainly had a rapture dream before, and that was unusual for me. But not to not to really go into detail about that. But I think there are things that you can watch and listen to really keep you encouraged in regards to the rapture. I also have a blog. So my website, WASHYE.com, all that is on there is good preparations for the rapture. Like it I have so much material on there, and God willing, more will be on that website. But there's a lot that you can really gather from. And my blog, The Encourager, on that blog, you can really read some things that I say in regards to the last days. Now, you don't always, I guess another question that we have as Christians can be, how do you know we are in the last days? And so I would just say, it's always important. Here, I'm going to have to take this somewhere. The baby's getting in there. I'll have to go downstairs. Just 1 second. So, hopefully that's clear. So, where was I? So I was saying, it's good to prepare for any type of last day event. And how do we know we're in the last days? Well, we see Russia fighting with Ukraine. I think every time there is a war that's on a global conflict, it could be a birth pain. You know, when you think about World War I and World War II, that could be a sign of the times that, we're getting closer and closer to the end of days. Another thing is the technology that's out there, guys. I mean, we're not super far off from expanding out into space, colonies on the moon, colonies on Mars. And my personal opinion is I don't believe God is going to really allow that to take place, you know. But maybe he will, because, there's more technology on the frontier. I mean, when you think about robots and people may not have to work a full shift or at all, a robot can do it for you. Um, there's a lot that is happening in 2024 and beyond. And so, not that I don't want, society to advance or something like that. I'm just saying, I wonder and question, you know, the stuff that we're seeing has a lot to do with the book of Revelation in a negative sense. Now I think robotics, I think AI is not necessarily evil. And I've seen some good Christian videos explaining like AI is not necessarily evil. It's just, there is two groups here on this planet, believers in Jesus Christ and people who don't believe in Jesus Christ. And so I believe AI and technology can be used to glorify God. I believe it can be used to advance the kingdom message. There's different ways that it can be used. And so new technology, I believe, is just another sign of the end times. When Daniel was given a vision from an angel, he was told by the angel, people will go to and fro, throughout the earth, and knowledge will increase. And so I believe that we're getting, to that time where Jesus is going to be revealed to the world. But I think another reason, if you were to answer the question of how do we know we're in the end times, is because of the great push of the church and our message that we are in the last days. I mean, even unbelievers are saying we're in the last days. And so just because you have people that do scoff, like, oh, everything's normal, there's still a lot of people that, believe, in all that we're saying, and they're going on their platforms, they're going on their social media and saying that we are in the last days. And that's something to note, I mean, even in the scriptures, there's a passage where Jesus is talking to someone and they had already been expecting Jesus to return. And Jesus was talking to the woman at the well, and she didn't even realize. She's like, hey, when Jesus comes, he'll explain everything to us. And Jesus was like, I am the Messiah. And he's already talking to the woman. And so there's times where we can kind of misunderstand scriptures, and we can misunderstand, the timing of it all, which is why I say prepare in multiple fronts. My dad may not agree with this particular part, but I choose to respectfully decline not preparing physically because, I believe, I saw a great message from a brother in Christ, and his message was like, we should be preparing for the last days, and we don't know all of the hardships that God is going to allow before we get to the rapture. And so having a stored up food and water, having emergency supply kit and all those great things, if you start to prepare physically, you'll find out that you may be, underprepared, because if you think, oh, I'm just going to prepare for Jesus' return, and, you prepare spiritually, but you cannot be prepared, physically either, and that be a bad situation. Now, I feel like I'm prepared, but I think I can definitely, prepare more. I think I have more things, ideas that I would like to do. And when you look at end times, it doesn't have to be a scary thing all the time. If we have confidence before God, I think that will help us. When we think about ourselves giving a record of our life, and having a confidence before God, that can strengthen you to get ready and be ready waiting for Christ's return. Now, again, I wouldn't say go into debt or something to prepare for the end times, because there's a lot to do if you were thinking about surviving the whole tribulation. In terms of like surviving the whole tribulation, I think there's a lot to do. there's so much that happens in the book of Revelation. It's pretty crazy. It's unlike any other time that is going to be before or after it. And it's the most epic time period as far as the wrath of God. That's how Jesus describes it. And so the tribulation, I don't know is if it's fully survivable, if even with basic supplies, because let's say for food, you'd have to store up at least 7 years of food, right? Because that's what scholars say is the tribulation is about 7 years when you add up the days in the book of Revelation. And then you would have to have 7 years of water, and this is per person. This is. Hold on just a second. I'm getting a call. Hello? Hey. Yeah, can you pick up something for me too? Yeah. Hey, is everything okay? We were wondering where you were. Oh. Oh, okay. Hey, I gotta go. I'm on a live stream. Okay, fine. Okay, sorry about that. So when you look at some of the things that are taking place in the world, and when you look at what's going to take place in Revelation, I really understand it to be that, the only safe place is in Jesus. When you really think about it, there's many situations like, let's say you do store up food, you store up 7 years of food, but let's say you take a vacation and then all of a sudden maybe war breaks out or something and you're on vacation and you can't get back to your supplies. Then all your supplies are wasted. And so there's a lot of different scenarios. Not to say that we still shouldn't prepare, and let God do the rest. But Lot came out of Sodom and Gomorrah with, I don't know if it was just his clothes on and maybe a camel or a donkey. Noah, had a whole bunch of storage and food and supplies stored up. Now, is that the possible way that Jesus is going to preserve the church is through preparations of living off grid and living in a bunker somewhere? Maybe, but I don't see that instruction in the scripture. I just see that as sort of a man-made way of looking at how we can sort of survive. But here's the other point that I want to bring out. It's not just about survival. If you come to this channel is about having a relationship with Jesus Christ and, overcoming the problems of this world. And so, even if you do survive the tribulation, it's really about, your relationship with Jesus Christ. Because let's say, one of these guys, billionaires that have a bunker, let's say they do survive the tribulation somehow.